5025. 800-883-5025. 800-883-5025.
Good morning, America. Breaking news. Massive eruption. Hawaii's Kilauea volcano bursting, shooting lava into the sky and flowing through the streets, roads cracking. Nearly 2,000 people told to evacuate. The emergency right now.
Also this morning, the new revelation that phone calls of President Trump's personal attorney Michael Cohen were tracked. Federal investigators monitored who he was talking to ahead of that raid. And now the White House under fire. What did they know about paying off Stormy Daniels and when?
The investigation right now. A Miami police officer caught on camera, running and kicking a suspect in the head while he's already handcuffed on the ground.
School bus confrontation. The terrifying moment this driver stops in the middle of the street, climbing right onto the hood of a bus, even trying to get on board.
And may the 4th be with you. Star Wars Day taking over the galaxy.
I got a really good feeling about this.
Superfans celebrating right now, and this morning, the man behind Solo is live only on GMA.
Live in Times Square, this is GMA with Robin Roberts, George Stephanopoulos, and Michael Strahan.
And good morning, America. Happy Friday. Michael said it. May the 4th be with you.
That's right. It is a big day for Star Wars fans. People are throwing parties all across the country. And look how Heathrow is celebrating. Running some, well, let's say unique flight paths. Everything, as you can see there, is Star Wars.
You know somebody's saying, I'm really going there? But first, we're going to begin this morning with that breaking news overnight. Hawaii's Kilauea volcano erupting. Let's take a look. You can see the lava pouring down the streets. At least 1,800 people were told to evacuate. And earlier this morning, the governor signed an emergency order. ABC's Kana Wentworth has the very latest. Good morning, Kana.
Yeah, Michael, good morning. The governor is saying that the danger is of such magnitude that it warrants preemptive and protective action as lava is spewing from the Kilauea volcano. Residents in the area say they have seen lava spouts 100 feet high. They also report smelling sulfur from newly formed cracks in the road. This morning, as Hawaii's Kilauea volcano erupting, sending scorching molten lava flowing through neighborhood streets, at least 1,500 residents ordered to evacuate. The National Guard activated. This drone video captures the pink plumes of smoke rising like a snake through the forest.
We were half a block away from where it was happening, but you could definitely feel the heat. You could feel the power of the eruption.
Witnesses compared the noise of the eruption to a jet engine. Homes in the middle of this residential area appear to be engulfed. The tension here high after the U.S. Geological Survey said new ground cracks were reported in the days leading up to the explosion. A river of molten magma scorching its way across the Puna district, foreshadowing the eruption to come.
Boy, it got active.
Residents rattled after some 75 small earthquakes in the last 24 hours.
My house is on stilts, so the whole house actually shook.
A chopper pilot capturing the moment huge plumes of smoke first began to rise.
You could totally feel what you could hear more than just hearing it. It was just a huge amount of power coming out of the ground.
Red Cross shelters here open around the clock, ready for anyone seeking shelter. So authorities were also going door to door, making sure that everyone that needed to be out of their homes was. They're also currently assessing the situation. And Robin, as we know, these lava flows are not only extremely dangerous, but they're also very unpredictable.
Yes, they are, Kana. Thank you. Everybody take care there. Let's go to Rob. And Rob, you were there the last time this volcano erupted. What, in 2014?
Yeah, just a few years ago. And I can tell you it is a frightening experience to be up close to this lava. You know, it's temperatures of well up over 1,000 degrees, in some cases 2,000 degrees. And when you see it from above, it looks cool. But when you see it close up like this, and this is some of the latest stuff, the fissures erupting there, that is a frightening sight. I want to show you this live picture right now of one of the vents of the Kilauea volcano, and that is spewing, obviously, the lava, the magma coming up and reaching the surface there, and then another shot of an infrared just to show you how hot it actually is. All right, so this another picture here of one of the streets of the neighborhoods. Some of the same neighborhoods that were evacuated in 2014 are being evacuated again. Then the lava was moving at about about 20 yards per day. At right now, I'm told that's not happening. But as Kana mentioned, things are unpredictable. What experts do think is that this is very similar to 1955, and we had a lot of warnings with this. 600 earthquakes leading up to this. So people were warned. Doesn't mean it doesn't make them uneasy, but they were warned as the plumbing was getting going the last few days. 1955, this thing lasted 3 months, so it's going to be a long go with this.
Oh, wow. All right, Rob, thank you very much. And of course, we're thinking of everybody that's there.
We are. Okay, Rob, we're going to get the latest now on President Trump and his embattled personal attorney, Michael Cohen. This morning, we're learning new details about how law enforcement was tracking Cohen's phone calls before the FBI raided his homes and office last month. ABC's Kira Phillips has that story. Good morning, Kira.
Good morning, George. We have learned now that not only did investigators covertly sift through Michael Cohen's emails, seize his cell phones and computers, but they also monitored who he was calling and who was calling him. Overnight, sources tell ABC News federal investigators have been keeping track of President Trump's personal attorney, Michael Cohen's phone calls. It's called Pen Register. Investigators could see who he was calling and who was calling him, all in real time. But they were not wiretapping and not listening to any conversations. All part of a growing criminal investigation, looking in part at possible secret deals made during the campaign to protect Donald Trump. FBI agents started to track Cohen's calls in the days leading up to that early morning raid of his home, office, and hotel room in New York.
Mr. Cohen, why do you think they raided your office and hotel room?
It's unclear how long before the raids investigators started tracking Cohen's phone calls. But sources tell ABC News Cohen and the president spoke days after the raids, meaning that phone call could be on investigators' radar. Court filings already revealed prosecutors used warrants to search Cohen's emails covertly as part of their months-long investigation into possible criminal conduct. The president has railed against those raids.
It's a disgraceful situation. It's a total witch hunt.
White House spokesperson Sarah Sanders would not say if Cohen is still the president's attorney.
I'm not aware of specific places where he's representing the president.
Clearly, there is mounting pressure this morning on Michael Cohen, his personal finances and relationship with the president coming under intense scrutiny as we learn more details about the investigation, George.
No question about that. Okay, Kira, thanks. And there is more fallout from Rudy Giuliani's stunning admission that President Trump did, in fact, reimburse Michael Cohen for that $130,000 payment to Stormy Daniels, demonstrating that Trump's previous denials were false. And this is just the latest in a string of false statements from the president, more than 3,000 since his inauguration, according to the Washington Post. And questions about credibility dominated the White House press briefing yesterday, including this one from our own Jonathan Karl.
When the president and the White House show what appears to be a blatant disregard for the truth, how are the American people to trust or believe what is said here or what is said by the president?
We give the very best information that we have at the time. I do that every single day and will continue to do that every day I'm in this position.
Problem is, the very best information, John, often turns out not to be right. That was one of the most punishing and frustrating press briefings I've ever seen.
The frustration intense by those in the room. But, George, what struck me is even as I asked that question, a question where I said that the president had appeared to show a blatant disregard for the truth and said things that were simply untrue over and over again, the president and this White House, there was no pushback from the press secretary. She did not dispute that contention. They know that they are dealing with somebody who just frequently says things that are verifiably untrue.
But John didn't dispute the contention. That's exactly right. But one of the other issues we're seeing with the White House and the president and his spokespeople is they also don't clean up statements after the fact, after they're it's exposed that they have not told the truth from the podium, and then they don't come and correct the record.
No corrections whatsoever. And George, you see, this is the most recent example, you know, that the president saying he didn't know about a payment when it turns out that he actually reimbursed the payment. But we have seen this over and over and over again, particularly when the president calls out reporting about changes in the White House. He said that there would be no change to his legal team, and then weeks later, we see his lawyers out and new lawyers coming in. This is happening over and over again, but what's interesting now is it seems to be catching up to the White House. Some of the president's allies are calling out this and saying it raises real problems for the president. The Wall Street Journal editorial page, which has been very friendly to the president, has an editorial on this today, and Fox News anchor Neil Cavuto went on quite a rant last night talking about all of the president's untruths.
Yeah, one of the questions they raise is, what will the country believe the president in a crisis? And that is a serious question right now. John Carl, thanks very much. Michael?
All right, George, now to that backlash over that arrest caught on camera. A Miami police officer seen on video kicking a suspect in the head while he's already on the ground in handcuffs. The incident is under investigation this morning, and ABC's Victor Oquendo is in Miami with the story. Good morning to you, Victor.
Good morning, Michael. It all started with a car chase. That video picks up after the suspect had already surrendered. What happened next, the chief of police calls a clear violation of policy, and now the state attorney's office is investigating.
The man on the ground is cuffed and in custody. It's what happens next that has this Miami community outraged. An officer seen running and kicking the suspect right in the head. Ooh. The woman who recorded the incident on her cell phone wants to remain anonymous.
You ain't have to do all that, buddy. You tripping.
When you see the video, when he came and kicked him, you can see that the man's face, it turns. And then you can also see stuff coming out of his mouth.
Like spit coming out of his mouth?
Like spit coming out of his mouth, yeah.
She says she's shocked by the officer's actions.
What was it like seeing this happen in your backyard?
It was crazy, especially after, I mean, I don't expect that from the city of Miami.
Police say the suspect, 31-year-old David Suazo, was driving a stolen car. An arrest affidavit saying he refused to pull over and led police on a chase, eventually crashing before he took off running, surrendering when an officer had a stun gun pointed at him.
Did they fight at all? Did they?
At all.
No,
None.
he just went right down to the ground.
He basically put his hands up like this and got on his knees. And then the police told him, lay down, lay down, lay down. So he laid down, and seconds after that, here comes the other police running and hit him in the face with like if he was a football.
Neighbors shouting advice as Suazo is led to a squad car.
Don't resist them, baby. Because they already beat him.
Sources tell ABC News the officer is Mario Figueroa, a 2-year veteran on the force. The chief of police tweeting, the video depicts a clear violation of policy. The officer has been relieved of duty. The state attorney's office now launching their own investigation.
That officer has been relieved of duty but not fired. He's been suspended pending an investigation. As for the suspect, police call him a habitual traffic offender. He is facing charges including eluding police and grand theft. Michael?
All right, thank you, Victor. It's hard to watch every time you see that.
Yes, it is. We're going to move on now to that kidnapping case that's making headlines. A woman who's pleading guilty to taking a baby at birth, facing that young woman's biological mother in court. And as you can imagine, the emotions raw. ABC's Eva Pilgrim is here with that story for us. Good morning, Eva.
Good morning, Robin. She kidnapped another woman's baby hours after she gave birth. Today, for the first time, we are expected to hear from Gloria Williams as she prepares to learn her fate.
The woman who pled guilty to kidnapping a baby 20 years ago and raising her as her own, coming face to face with that biological mother.
And I held my baby. She was so beautiful. She was so beautiful.
In 1998, Gloria Williams posed as a nurse stealing Shanara Mobley's baby, Kamaya, from this Florida hospital just 8 hours after she was born.
She kept telling me, like, hey, you know, all new babies have to be checked for a temperature, so eventually I'm going to have to take out the room.
Williams raised that baby for 18 years as Alexis Manigo.
For 18 years, I've known I have a beautiful child, beautiful daughter, Alexis. She still, it got in my heart, she still is my child.
Charles Manigo thought he was Alexis's father until 2 tips led police to Williams in South Carolina last year. She was arrested for the kidnapping.
It's a betrayal and a hurt, you know. It's just, it's unbelievable. I lost a child. I mean, there's something I can't get back.
Alexis still writes and speaks to Williams, even calls her mother.
Of course, I'm not going to say, you know, throw her in jail and throw away the key or, you know, throw her into jail. Like, of course, I don't want to see so many years, but I understand a crime was done, you know. So I understand some punishment has to be rendered.
Her biological mother asking the court to show no mercy, emotional about all the years she lost.
That is my child. I am your mother, Kamaya. I am your mother.
And Alexis is still getting to know her biological family. She will not be testifying on behalf of Williams, who is facing up to 22 years behind bars. But as you can imagine, this poor young woman, so very torn and in the middle of all of this is happening.
And overall, she's handled it so incredibly well as can be expected in something like this. All right, Eva, thank you.
Thanks, Robin. We have now a powerful and poignant message from Senator John McCain, speaking candidly about his battle with brain cancer, his hopes for our country, and the divisions that are holding us back. These are all the first excerpts of his final book, and our senior congressional correspondent, Mary Bruce, joins us with the details. Good morning, Mary.
Good morning, George. Well, for the first time in months, we're hearing directly from Senator John McCain in these first clips of his new memoir. The senator, known for his straight talk, is at it again. He sounds prepared for whatever may come next and has a powerful message about the future of our country. Senator John McCain, in his own words.
I don't know how much longer I'll be here.
That familiar voice.
Maybe I'll have another 5 years. Maybe I'll be gone before you hear this. My predicament is, well, rather unpredictable.
In his signature plain-spoken style, the 81-year-old is reflective and blunt as he battles brain cancer.
And I want to talk to my fellow Americans a little more, if I may.
In his new memoir, The Restless Wave, out later this month, McCain celebrates the country he's spent his life serving.
We can be selfish and quick sometimes to shift the blame for our mistakes to others, but our country, 'tis of thee. What great good we've done in the world, so much more good than harm.
But he doesn't hold back either, criticizing President Trump, saying his lack of empathy for refugees, innocent, persecuted, desperate men, women, and children is disturbing. And he makes a passionate plea for civility.
Before I leave, I'd like to see our politics begin to return to the purposes and practices that distinguish our history from the history of other nations. I'd like to see us recover our sense that we are more alike than different.
After more than 30 years in the Senate, McCain has announced this will be his last term. He remains at home in Arizona in stable condition, recovering from the side effects of his cancer treatment. As for what comes next,
I want to smell the rose-scented breeze and feel the sun on my shoulders. I want to watch the hawks hunt from the sycamore, and then take my leave.
Now, that new book comes out later this month on May 22nd, and while we haven't seen John McCain up here on the Hill since late last year, he is still actively involved in all of the goings-on here, still making his points of view well known, putting out statements, sending out those tweets. George, his presence is still very much felt here in these halls.
Eloquent, powerful, using every moment, every way he can. Mary Bruce, thanks very much.
As we would expect, and just to hear his voice, our country, 'tis of thee. Let's get back to Rob. Severe weather threat here in the Northeast, Rob?
Yes, unfortunately, our country is prone to severe weather. We've had it all week, and the Northeast is going to get it today. Yesterday in Iowa, these are 60-plus mile-an-hour winds. You see the lawn furniture being strewn about there. We had a number of tornadoes again yesterday, and then hail damage in Janesville, Wisconsin. This house taking a beating yesterday from all the hail that came down, golf ball size in some spots. All right, here's the front stretching out. Actually, Dallas, you're going to get some storms this morning. We do weaken it a little bit, but yesterday we had 67-mile-per-hour winds over the Tappan Zee Bridge with the severe storms across the Northeast, and I think we'll get it with the northern part of the front finally coming through later on today. Damaging winds, some hail, maybe a tornado or two from Pittsburgh all the way up through New England. The record heat the last day of it, and then we'll start to get cooler weather on the way. Your weekend getaways now, brought to you by Sensodyne Pronamel.
Enamel is the strong, white outer layer of your tooth surface. The thing that's really important to dentists is to make sure that that enamel stays strong and resilient for a lifetime. The more that we can strengthen and reharden that tooth surface, the whiter their patient's teeth are going to be. Dentists are going to really want to recommend Pronamel Strong and Bright. It helps to strengthen and reharden the enamel. It also has stain lifting action. It's going to give their patients the protection that they need and the whiter teeth that they want.
A very warm start and a hot afternoon, going up to 90 degrees again. After 5, 6 o'clock today, we could see a stray shower, maybe even a strong thunderstorm north and west of D.C. But from 90 today to 75 your high on Saturday, just 69 degrees on Sunday, with rain coming in mainly during the afternoon Saturday and some early day showers for Sunday. Keep that in mind if you are going to be going to church. Cooler temperatures last right into the early part and most of next week.
Coming up, new details about the Golden State Killer, the distinct physical trait that may link him to the crimes.
And the new warning about some of those inexpensive phone charger cables. Could they damage your iPhone, causing it to overheat? Our investigation this morning.